The darkness of space stretched endlessly before Marcus Stone's viewport as he guided his ship, the Star Runner, through the quiet sector. His weathered hands moved across the control panel with practiced ease, while his eyes scanned the surrounding void. 20 years of running cargo missions had taught him that the empty reaches of space were never truly empty. A soft beeping from his radar display caught his attention. Marcus leaned forward, his gray eyes narrowing as he studied the reading. Two ships appeared on his screen, one clearly in pursuit of the other. The leading vessel's energy signature was failing, while the pursuing ship matched known pirate configurations. "Looks like someone's having a bad day," Marcus muttered to himself, adjusting his course to get a better look. He wasn't looking for trouble, but years in the Space Force had left him with habits he couldn't shake. The Star Runner might have been registered as a cargo vessel, but her hidden weapon systems could match any military craft. As he drew closer, the situation became clear. The damaged ship was sleek and beautiful, with crystalline formations growing from its hull, a design he'd never seen before. 3 pirate vessels, not one, surrounded it like hungry wolves. The crystalline ship's engines sputtered, leaving trails of blue energy in the void. Marcus's fingers hovered over his ship's controls. He could just pass by. It wasn't his fight. But something about the crystalline ship's design spoke of importance. If pirates got their hands on that technology, the decision made itself. Marcus activated his weapons systems and opened a channel to the attacked vessel. "Unknown ship, this is Captain Marcus Stone of the Star Runner. Looks like you could use some help." Static answered him, followed by a weak signal. The voice that came through was strained but clear. Any assistance would be appreciated. Life support failing. Marcus didn't waste time. He pushed his engines to full power, bringing the Star Runner into attack range. The pirates, focused on their prey, didn't notice him until his first shot tore through the engines of their lead ship. "Let's see how you like a fair fight," he growled, his military training taking over. The Star Runner danced between enemy fire, her hidden weapons delivering precise strikes. Marcus had spent years making his ship look harmless while packing enough firepower to take on a small fleet. The pirates, expecting easy prey, found themselves outmatched. One of their ships exploded in a brilliant flash, while another took heavy damage to its weapon systems. The third, seeing the tide turn, fled into the darkness of space. With the immediate threat handled, Marcus turned his attention to the damaged vessel. Its crystalline surface reflected the light of nearby stars, creating patterns he'd never seen in his 2 decades of space travel. The ship's design was both beautiful and alien, clearly beyond human engineering. Using his ship's tractor beam, Marcus carefully stabilized the failing vessel. "I'm going to dock with your ship," he transmitted. "Hold tight." The docking procedure was tricky. The crystalline ship's airlock system was different from any standard design, but Marcus's years of experience helped him adapt. As the airlocks sealed together, he grabbed his emergency medical kit and repair tools. "Time to see who we've got here," he said to himself, checking the atmosphere readings. The air was breathable, though slightly different from human standard. He sealed his suit anyway. 20 years in space had taught him to always be careful. As the airlock cycled, Marcus didn't know he was about to step into something much bigger than a simple rescue. He didn't know that behind that airlock was a prince of a vast empire, or that his actions today would change the relationship between humans and one of the most powerful alien civilizations in the galaxy. He was just doing what he thought was right. Sometimes, that's all it takes to change history. Marcus stepped through the airlock into a corridor that seemed to be made of living crystal. The walls pulsed with a soft blue light, but many sections were dark and cracked. Emergency lights flickered, casting strange shadows through the crystalline structure. His boots crunched on broken crystal shards as he moved forward, medical kit in one hand and a light in the other. The ship's design was unlike anything he'd seen in human space. Everything seemed to grow from everything else, as if the entire vessel had been grown rather than built. "Hello," He called out, his voice echoing through the damaged corridors. "Anyone here? I'm Captain Stone, here to help." A weak groan answered him from somewhere ahead. Marcus quickened his pace, following the sound. The damage got worse as he went deeper into the ship. Whole sections of wall were blown apart, and the air was getting thinner. The life support was definitely failing. He found the ship's occupant in what looked like a control room. A tall figure lay trapped under a fallen crystal beam, its skin a pale blue color that seemed to shimmer in the emergency lighting. The alien wore what looked like formal clothing, though it was now torn and stained. "Hold still," Marcus said, kneeling beside the injured alien. "I'm here to help." The alien's eyes opened, revealing pupils that looked like swirling galaxies. "The pirates." The alien spoke in perfect English, though his voice was strained. "They're gone," Marcus assured him, pulling out his medical scanner. "I drove them off. Let's focus on getting you out of here." The scanner showed several broken bones and internal injuries, but nothing immediately life-threatening. The bigger problem was the failing life support. They had maybe 20 minutes of breathable air left. Marcus examined the crystal beam pinning the alien down. It was heavy, but not impossible to move. "This is going to hurt," he warned, "but we need to get you out of here fast. The life support won't last much longer." The alien nodded weakly. Marcus positioned himself and lifted with all his strength. The crystal beam moved just enough for the alien to drag himself free. As soon as the alien was clear, Marcus let the beam drop and quickly administered pain medication from his medkit. "My name is Ray," the alien said through gritted teeth. "Thank you for your assistance." "Save your strength," Marcus replied, helping Ray to his feet. "We need to move." They had made it halfway back to the airlock when the ship shuddered violently. Marcus's combat instincts kicked in as he spotted movement through a damaged section of hull. One of the pirate ships had returned. "Hold on to me," Marcus ordered, pulling Ray close as he activated his suit's magnetic boots. Just in time. A blast rocked the ship, and a section of hull breached just ahead of them. The vacuum of space pulled at them, but Marcus's boots held firm. With one arm holding Ray and the other gripping the wall, Marcus navigated them through the depressurized corridor. Each step was a battle against the vacuum trying to pull them into space. Ray had passed out, which was probably for the best. The pirate ship fired again, but the shots went wide. Marcus's ship, the Star Runner, had activated its automated defense systems, keeping the pirates busy. Finally, they'd reached the airlock. Marcus pulled them inside and sealed it, letting the chamber pressurize before carrying Ray through to his ship. As Marcus laid Ray on the medical bed in his ship's small infirmary, he noticed something odd about the alien's clothing. There was a symbol woven into the fabric that seemed important, though he didn't recognize it. But treating Ray's injuries came first. Questions could wait. The Star Runner's engines hummed to life as Marcus programmed a course to the nearest space station with advanced medical facilities. He didn't know it yet, but he had just saved one of the most important figures in this sector of space, and his life would never be the same. 3 days had passed since the rescue. Marcus sat in the waiting area of Blue Star Medical Station, drinking his 4th cup of coffee. The doctors had been surprisingly secretive about Ray's condition, though they assured him the alien would recover. Something strange was going on. The station's security had tripled since their arrival. A tall figure in a crisp uniform approached him. "Captain Stone, please come with me. Someone wants to meet you." Marcus followed the guard through several security checkpoints until they reached a private medical suite. 2 more guards stood at the door, their crystal-based weapons unlike anything in human space. They nodded respectfully, something that made Marcus even more suspicious. Inside, Ray sat up in bed, looking much better. The blue tint of his skin now had a healthy glow, and his galaxy-like eyes were clear and alert. But what caught Marcus's attention was that Ray now wore an elaborate crown made of living crystal. "My friend," Ray said warmly, "please sit. We have much to discuss." Marcus sat, his military training keeping his face neutral despite his growing confusion. "You're looking better. Thanks to you." Ray's expression became serious. "Captain Stone, I haven't been entirely honest with you. I am Ray of the Crystal Empire, Crown Prince of the 7 star systems." Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. He had saved a prince. No wonder the station was crawling with security. "I was traveling in secret to inspect our border territories," Ray continued. "Those pirates were actually assassins, hired by a rival faction. You didn't just save my life, Captain. You may have prevented a civil war." Marcus set his coffee down carefully. "Your Highness." Please." Ray held up a hand. "After what you did, you may call me Ray. But there is more we must discuss." He touched a crystal on his bedside table, and a holographic image appeared. A beautiful female figure with the same shimmering blue skin and galaxy eyes. "In our culture, a life debt must be repaid with something of equal value," Ray explained. "You saved the heir to the Crystal Empire. There is only one gift that equals such an act." He gestured to the hologram. "This is my sister, Princess Luna. I offer her hand in marriage as repayment of my debt." Marcus stared at the hologram, then at Ray, waiting for the punchline. None came. "Your Highness." "Ray, I can't accept that. I didn't help you for a reward. Besides, your sister isn't a gift to be given." Ray smiled, as if Marcus had passed a test. "Luna said the same thing when I told her. She also said she would like to meet the human who would refuse such an offer on principle." The hologram changed, showing various images of the Crystal Empire. Vast cities made of living crystal, floating gardens, ships that looked grown rather than built. "Our empire has had limited contact with humans," Ray continued. "Many of my people think humans are primitive, violent. But you, Marcus Stone, showed honor, courage, and wisdom. Perhaps it's time for that to change." "What exactly are you suggesting?" Marcus asked carefully. "Stay as our guest. Meet Luna, not as an arranged match, but as a representative of humanity. Help us understand your people better and learn about ours." Ray's eyes twinkled. "Unless you have urgent cargo deliveries to make." Marcus thought about his quiet life running cargo through the outer systems. Then he thought about the amazing ship he helped rescue, the strange and beautiful architecture around him, and the hologram of the princess who had objected to being offered as a prize. "I suppose my schedule just opened up," he said. Ray smiled. "Excellent. Though I should warn you, Luna has quite a strong personality. She's very interested in human combat techniques, especially after hearing how you handled those assassins." For the first time since the rescue, Marcus felt slightly nervous. What exactly had he gotten himself into? Marcus stood in a massive crystal hall, feeling out of place in his best captain's uniform. Around him, alien nobles in flowing robes walked and floated, their blue skin shimmering under the light of 1,000 crystal chandeliers. Some gave him curious looks, others turned away with obvious disapproval. "Nervous?" asked Ray, appearing beside him. The prince wore formal robes that seemed to be made of living starlight. "Not nervous," Marcus replied. "Just wondering if all your people can float, or if they're just showing off." Ray laughed. "A bit of both. Luna will be here soon. Try not to stare when she arrives. She likes to make an entrance." As if on cue, the grand doors at the end of the hall opened. Princess Luna entered, and Marcus understood what Ray meant about not staring. Unlike the other nobles who floated gracefully, Luna strode in on foot, wearing what looked like a combination of a royal dress and combat armor. Her galaxy eyes scanned the room until they found Marcus, and she smiled. "So," she said, walking straight up to him, "you're the human who refused to marry me." Marcus bowed awkwardly. "Your Highness." "Show me how you fought the assassins," she interrupted. "I studied the ship's recordings, but I want to see your combat techniques in person." A shocked murmur ran through the watching nobles. Ray covered his face with his hand, trying not to laugh. "Luna," he said, Perhaps we could save the combat training for later. This is meant to be a formal introduction. We have plenty of time for formality later. Luna waved her hand dismissively. Right now, I want to see if humans are really as adaptable in combat as the recordings suggest. Before Marcus could respond, Luna had grabbed his arm and was pulling him toward what appeared to be a training area adjacent to the hall. The nobles followed, some looking scandalized, others intrigued. "Is she always like this?" Marcus whispered to Ray. "Usually worse," Ray replied cheerfully. "I should have warned you." Luna's been fascinated by human military tactics since she first studied your species. She thinks our traditional crystal-based combat is too rigid. The training area was a large circular space with a floor that seemed to shift and change like liquid crystal. Luna took position opposite Marcus, summoning a staff made of pure crystal energy. "Don't worry," she said, grinning. "I'll go easy on you." What followed was the strangest sparring match of Marcus's life. Luna's crystal weapons could change form mid-strike, shifting from staff to sword to whip in seconds. But Marcus's years of combat experience had taught him to adapt quickly. He dodged and weaved, using Luna's elaborate movements against her. The watching nobles gasped as Marcus managed to disarm Luna using a simple Space Force hand-to-hand technique. But instead of being angry, Luna looked delighted. "Magnificent," she exclaimed. "No crystal powers, no energy manipulation, just pure physical skill and strategy." She turned to the shocked audience. "Do you see? This is why we need to learn from other species." Marcus helped Luna up, acutely aware of the dozens of noble eyes watching them. "Your Highness, I think you let me win." Luna winked at him. "Maybe. Or maybe humans are more interesting than my people think." She raised her voice to address the crowd. "This is why my brother's idea of alliance through marriage was foolish. We should be seeking to learn from humans as equals, not trying to bind them to us through outdated traditions." Ray stepped forward, nodding. "My sister speaks wisely. Captain Stone has shown us that humanity has much to teach us." He glanced at Marcus. "Though perhaps next time we could demonstrate this through diplomatic talks, rather than impromptu combat demonstrations." Luna laughed, a sound like crystal wind chimes. "Where's the fun in that, brother?" She turned to Marcus. "Come on, Captain. I want to hear all about human battle strategies over dinner. And don't worry, I left my combat armor in the training room." Marcus looked at Ray, who shrugged helplessly. Somehow, he had a feeling dinner was going to be just as interesting as the sparring match. 2 weeks had passed since the sparring match, and Marcus found himself walking through the Crystal Empire's famous floating gardens with Luna. Giant platforms of living crystal drifted through the air, each supporting different types of alien plants that glowed with their own inner light. "Your gardens are beautiful," Marcus said, watching a flower that seemed to be made of pure starlight bloom before his eyes. "Though I'm still trying to understand how everything here is alive, even the crystals." Luna touched a nearby crystal formation, making it pulse with light. "Everything in our empire is connected through the crystal network. It's like..." She paused, searching for a human comparison. "Like your internet, but alive and aware." "Is that how you knew I was in the garden?" Marcus asked. Earlier, Luna had found him immediately after he'd gotten lost in the massive palace. She grinned. "Actually, I just followed the trail of confused nobles. You tend to leave a wake of scandalized expressions wherever you go." They reached a private section of the garden where a simple meal had been set up. It was becoming their daily routine, lunch and cultural exchange, away from the prying eyes of the court. "Speaking of scandalized nobles," Luna said as they sat down, "I heard about the incident in the technology chamber." Marcus groaned. "In my defense, nobody told me the crystal walls could hear me. I didn't mean to insult Lord Bright's traditional crystal farming methods. You suggested that his grow everything in perfect rows approach was, what was the phrase? About as creative as a brick." Luna's eyes sparkled with amusement. "The crystal walls repeated it to half the palace before anyone could stop them." "No wonder the walls in my room stopped talking to me," Marcus muttered. Their laughter was interrupted by a sudden darkening of the nearby crystals. Luna's expression turned serious. "Marcus, there's something you should know. Not everyone is happy about your presence here. I noticed. The assassination attempt yesterday was a bit of a clue." He touched the small cut on his cheek where a crystal shard had nearly taken his head off. Luna's eyes flashed with anger. "We still don't know who was behind it. Some of the older noble houses think humans are dangerous. They believe letting you learn about our technology will lead to the Empire's downfall." "And what do you believe?" Marcus asked quietly. Luna was silent for a moment, watching the glowing flowers. "I believe change is necessary for survival. Our empire has been isolated for too long. We've become like our crystals, beautiful, but rigid and unchanging." A soft chime interrupted them. A crystal communication. Luna touched a nearby crystal, and Ray's voice came through. "Luna, Marcus, you need to come to the Grand Chamber immediately. The Council of Elders has called an emergency session. They're demanding Marcus leave the Empire." Marcus stood up, but Luna caught his arm. "Wait. Before we go, I need to tell you something." She took a deep breath. "The assassination attempt wasn't aimed at you. It was aimed at me." "What? Why?" "Because I've been teaching you about our crystal technology. Because I've been pushing for closer ties with humans. Some see me as a traitor." She smiled grimly. "They thought killing me and blaming you would solve both problems." Marcus felt cold anger rising in his chest. "Who are they? We'll face them together." Luna's galaxy eyes softened. "That's exactly why they're afraid. In just 2 weeks, you've shown more loyalty and understanding than some who have lived in the Empire for centuries." She squeezed his hand. "Come on, let's go face the Council. And Marcus, whatever happens, remember that not all of us fear change." As they hurried to the Grand Chamber, Marcus realized something had changed. He wasn't just fighting for his right to stay anymore. He was fighting for Luna's vision of a better future for both their peoples. And if that meant facing down a room full of angry crystal elders, well, he'd faced worse odds before. The Grand Chamber of the Crystal Empire was silent as Marcus and Luna entered. Hundreds of noble elders sat in rising crystal tiers, their disapproving faces glowing in the dim light. Ray stood at the center, his crown pulsing with barely contained anger. Lord Bright, the head of the Council of Elders, spoke first. "The human has corrupted our ways enough. Princess Luna teaches him our sacred crystal arts. He questions our traditions. He must leave." "I agree," said another elder. "Look how he stands beside the princess without proper ceremony. No respect for our ways." Luna stepped forward, her voice sharp as crystal. "You speak of respect, yet you plot murder in the shadows. We have proof that members of this council tried to have me killed." Shocked whispers filled the chamber. Ray held up a glowing crystal, which projected images into the air. Secret meetings, exchanged messages, plots discussed in what the plotters thought were private chambers. "The crystal network sees all," Ray announced, "and it showed us everything. Lord Bright, you and your supporters planned to kill my sister and blame Marcus. Your own crystals testified against you." Lord Bright stood, his face twisted with rage. "The crystals are meant to serve us, not spy on us. This human has poisoned even our sacred network against us." "The crystals were never meant to serve," Luna countered. "They were meant to grow with us, to help us evolve. Just as our empire must evolve." Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered and died. In the darkness, Marcus heard the familiar sound of weapons being drawn. His combat instincts kicked in just as a crystal blade sliced through the air where he had been standing. "Luna, down," he shouted, tackling her as more crystal weapons flew overhead. The chamber erupted into chaos. But Marcus and Luna were ready, back to back. They fought through the darkness. Luna's crystal powers provided light, while Marcus's combat experience kept them both alive. They had practiced this, spending hours combining human military tactics with crystal magic. "The network," Luna called out. "They're trying to shut it down." Ray's voice cut through the chaos. Marcus, the central crystal. If they destroy it, the entire palace defense system will fail. Marcus spotted Lord Bright running toward a massive crystal pillar in the center of the chamber, holding what looked like a destruction device. Without thinking, Marcus sprinted after him, dodging crystal shards and energy blasts. Lord Bright reached the pillar first, but as he raised the device, Marcus did something unexpected. He threw his crystal communication badge at it. The small crystal crashed into the device, causing a feedback loop of energy that sent Lord Bright flying backward. The lights came back on. Royal guards poured into the chamber, surrounding the rebellious elders, but all eyes were on the central crystal pillar, which had changed color where Marcus's badge had hit it. The crystal was glowing with a new pattern, a perfect blend of human DNA structures and crystallizes. "Impossible," whispered one of the elders. The sacred crystal accepted human essence. Luna walked to Marcus's side, studying the pattern. Not impossible. Inevitable. The crystals understand what some of us forgot. Strength comes from growth, from change, from accepting new patterns into the old. Ray smiled. The crystal network has made its choice. It recognizes Marcus as a friend of the Empire. He turned to the council. The question is, will you learn from its wisdom? Lord Bright and his supporters were led away in crystal restraints. The remaining council members looked at Marcus with new eyes, not all accepting, but no longer hostile. Luna took Marcus's hand, ignoring the gasps from the more traditional nobles. "You know," she said quietly, "in the old stories, when the sacred crystal accepts someone, it means they're meant to be part of the Empire forever." Marcus looked at their joined hands, then at the new pattern glowing in the crystal pillar. "Is that a proposal, Princess?" Luna grinned. "Let's call it a suggestion. After all, we still have traditions to change." As the chamber slowly emptied, the crystal pillar continued to glow, its new pattern a symbol of things to come, a future where human adaptability and crystal wisdom could grow together, creating something entirely new. 1 month after the failed rebellion, the Crystal Empire's Grand Hall looked very different. Crystal formations that had once grown in rigid traditional patterns now flowed in new directions. Human delegates stood alongside crystal nobles, their conversations filling the air with a mix of languages and ideas. Marcus stood at the edge of the gathering, wearing a formal uniform that combined human military style with crystal accents. The small crystal shard that had bonded with him during the rebellion now hung at his collar, glowing softly with that same unique pattern of human DNA and crystallizes. "Thinking deep thoughts, Captain." Ray approached, wearing his crown with a new confidence. "Just remembering when I was just a cargo ship captain who happened to spot a damaged vessel," Marcus replied. "Life takes strange turns." Ray laughed. "Indeed. Speaking of turns, the Council approved the new trade agreements this morning. The first human crystal joint shipyards will begin construction next week." Before Marcus could respond, a commotion near the central platform caught their attention. Luna had arrived, but not in the traditional floating entrance of a crystal princess. Instead, she rode in on a hybrid vehicle, part crystal growth, part human engineering, that she had designed herself. "Your sister never does anything halfway, does she?" Marcus asked. "She takes after our mother," Ray said fondly. "Who, by the way, wants to know when you two are going to make your arrangement official." Marcus adjusted his collar nervously. "We're still working on that. Luna wants to change the traditional ceremony to include both human and crystal customs. She says if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right." Speaking of doing things right, Luna joined them, her crystal armor now incorporating elements of human tactical design. The first group of human students arrives tomorrow to study crystal technology, and a group of our young nobles will begin training in human combat techniques. The traditionalists can't be happy about that, Marcus noted. Luna grinned. Actually, Lord Bright sent a message from his prison crystal. He said if we're going to pollute sacred traditions, we should at least make sure humans learn them properly. Coming from him, that's practically a blessing. Ray chuckled. A soft chime rang through the hall. The central crystal pillar, still bearing the unique pattern from the rebellion, began to glow brighter. It was time for the announcement. Ray stepped onto the platform, his voice carrying across the hall. My friends, both crystal and human, we gather today not just to celebrate new alliances, but new understandings. 1 month ago, our empire faced a choice between stagnation and growth. Thanks to the courage of a human captain and the wisdom of a crystal princess, we chose growth. The crowd applauded. Marcus felt Luna's hand slip into his. The old stories say the sacred crystals guide us to our true path, Ray continued. They showed us that path when they accepted human essence into their pattern. And today, they show us again. He gestured to Marcus and Luna. The crystals have blessed the union of human adaptability and crystal wisdom, not through obligation or tradition, but through choice and understanding. Luna squeezed Marcus's hand. Ready to help me change a few more traditions, she whispered. As long as we're changing them together, he replied. The crystal pillar's glow spread through the hall, creating patterns that mixed human and crystal designs in beautiful new ways. The gathered delegates watched in awe as the very architecture of the empire began to evolve, showing them a glimpse of their shared future. Marcus looked around the hall, at Ray's proud smile, at the human and crystal delegates mingling freely, at the new patterns growing in the crystal walls. Most of all, he looked at Luna, who had chosen to walk beside him rather than float above. Sometimes the greatest adventures started with a simple choice to help someone in need, and sometimes those choices led to changes that could reshape an empire, bringing together the best of two worlds in ways no one had imagined possible. The sacred crystals pulsed with light, their network now carrying both human and crystal signals throughout the empire. It was just the beginning of a new age, one that would be built not on tradition alone, but on understanding, respect, and the courage to grow together.